goes to the Jets, and then Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills. Third-round pick and some late pick swaps. Buffalo only paying $800,000 of Amari's salary.
Wow.
Numbers have been down this year after racking up around 1,200 yards last year.
Happens when you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, maybe it's because he's getting a little older. Maybe it's because the Browns' offense is less than stellar. Nick, your reaction?
I think it's a great move. I like this move given the price, all things considered, more than I like the Davante Adams move.
Oh.
I don't think Amari is better than Davante, but he's 1/11th the cost, and they have, in my opinion, double the need. They don't have a Garrett Wilson.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I'm higher on the Bills than a little higher than Brew, and I think way higher than you are. And it's because I think that while McDermott's defense can get exposed in the playoffs and in the most critical spots of games, in the last 2 minutes, over the bulk of a season, he's going to get the most out of his defensive players. And Josh Allen is going to give you top 5 production over the course of a season. And so now he has a guy like last night, gosh darn it, who was it? The kid with the long hair, Mac Hollins. He tried to find in the end zone. Mac Hollins isn't going to win that matchup. Amari Cooper, I think, can. So I think this is, and, they got a second-rounder back for Stephon. They trade a third-rounder for Amari. They don't pay him really anything because he's making the minimum. I think it's a great move for Buffalo. A great move.
Yeah, the Bills and Josh Allen have done more with less, and this is a nice piece, and they're in a place I didn't think they would be in at this point in the season. And so it makes sense for them to try to push that forward, and the cost isn't too extravagant because they do have cap problems anyways. I obviously been pushing for Davante to the Jets because of the fit, how easily he should fit in, not only fit with the quarterback, but fit into the system and be productive very quickly. I like that move for New York. They've gone all in. This is another piece of that going all in. And at the end of the year, you can't look back at the ownership and say, he wouldn't give me the tools.
Yeah, I like it for Buffalo. I mean, they had to do this. They've just put too much on Josh Allen while also kind of handcuffing him. They're not throwing the football. They're 31st in the league in attempts. The only team they've attempted more passes than is the Chargers. And so now I think they'll throw it more. And I think Amari's drop in production, this isn't a compliment to him, but his morale, I think, is low because of what's happening there in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. Now, you would hope a player would still be at his best, but he just hasn't. He's had a lot of drops. But I think he'll be good in Buffalo. What I think this does, Nick, I still think clearly at this point, the 2 top teams in the AFC are the Chiefs and the Ravens. And then below them, I think Houston's below them. I think this may put Buffalo with Houston. This may put them up there with them.
They just played a close
But I
game.
still think they're a good notch below Baltimore and Kansas City.
Here's the Bills' offense this season. Points. They're still scoring points. Like you said, they are running the ball the 5th most of any team in the league. Question for you, Nick. We talked about it last week. Patriots are obviously no good. The Dolphins are all of a sudden no good. The Jets got better today, we think. Is there a part of you that thinks maybe the Bills were going to have a reset year, but they look around the NFC, these teams aren't that good. Why don't we try to push in?
When you have a top 5 quarterback in his prime, your reset year should be we're going to win 10 games and sneak into the playoffs and then see if we catch fire. Not we're going to go 7-10.
Yeah.
And I'll say another thing. They paid a 3rd round. I don't know. I truly do not know if the Chiefs were interested in Amari Cooper. But if I'm Bucks worth a 6th round pick just for the Chiefs to not get him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm actually trying to win it this year. So now I pay a 3rd round pick, the Chiefs don't get him, and I do get him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they're...
Okay, so I want to talk about this. It's pretty funny because I posted a video well before this trade ever happened, which you can see the time, and it was for the herd. And this is exactly what I said. I'll just show that real quick. It's real short. But it does feel like, to me personally, if the Bills want to truly be Super Bowl contenders this season, right, and truly fight for it, I feel as though they have to make a move or two by the trade deadline to really kind of separate themselves. Again, not unlike what we're seeing the Jets doing now with Devontae, right? Just taking that extra next step. And I talk about this all the time because I think it's just such a great example. Well, and then I just went on to use the Rams as an example of when they went and got OBJ and Von Miller. So it's pretty great when a take ages so perfectly in the same day. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But with this right now, I do love this. And because I've talked about Amari Cooper to the Bills and also Devontae and all of that. And I've used I used those references. You know, I think a couple teams could add those players, whether it was the Ravens, the Jets, the Bills. So to see the Bills actually be aggressive and do that, I think is really huge. I still think they need to make more moves, right? Like I don't think they're done yet. I think Amari Cooper will be a really, really nice piece. It is hard for me to gauge who Amari Cooper is right now because of playing with Deshaun Watson. I think he's most definitely notches above whatever he's been doing this season because it's just a disaster in Cleveland. Make no mistake about it. And so I think he will be instantly better. And again, this will open up so much more for Josh. This opens up the run game. It makes it easier for other receivers. Like, you know, football is just such a complementary team sport that when you just add any additional positive piece, it just makes everything easier, right? There's just that trickle down effect that's going to help everybody. And you don't need to be a mega superstar in your prime to have that level of impact. Something as little as like A.J. Brown is a stud wide receiver. He will be better when Devontae is playing, who's not as good as a receiver, right? So it's just like all of those things happen. He will be better when Saquon is the running back versus some other random person. So there's just so much of an influence on each other that adding a piece like Amari Cooper will definitely have a really great impact, I believe, on the Bills. But again, and this is kind of interesting what Wild said, is like, hey, like I'm looking around the league, like there's not a lot of these juggernauts, like maybe we should kind of just push all in here. And I do feel that way. You know, I've said this a lot now over these days. None of these teams really scare me, and throughout the entire NFL. And it's not like I think certain teams you can find fear in, right? Like I'm afraid if I'm facing the Chiefs, the coaching and just the fact they obviously have that championship pedigree without a doubt. I'm afraid of the punch of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I'm afraid of the onslaught of the Detroit Lions and what they can do offensively. But then I can also, for all those teams, point out like some issues where I'm like, well, I don't know if I trust the coaching in the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, hey, their offense is really not looking that great. If I just have a really competent, well-coached team, I should be able to beat the Chiefs. Hey, the Detroit Lions, their defense is now unfortunately banged up for them. And I don't know. And yeah, they had that onslaught on the Dallas Cowboys, but like, look what they did versus the Rams and look what they did versus the Cardinals and the Bucks, right? Like, so it's like you can kind of pick and choose. Like, there's no team this season that really feels like, oh my God, you pretty much got no chance to beat them. Like it really feels like, and I keep saying this as well, that it's this season more than ever has been the definition of any given Sunday, right? It's just like, I don't know, man. We just got to see what the heck's going to happen, right? Let's see how this all unfolds. And I think the Bills are in that category. They are in that, you know, they're invited to that party of just like, hey, who knows what can happen. And so I think if the Bills make a couple more moves or another move or so, that could take them over, right? That could now make them be like, yeah, it is any given Sunday, but you're going to edge more closer to us. It's no longer a coin flip. It's no longer 50-50. It's now 60-40, 70-30, right? Like you're constantly trying to put yourself in the better position to win, obviously, of course. And so it's like, so what other moves can the Bills make? Does it still need to be offensively? Do they need to upgrade defensively? I'm not going to pretend like I know the exact moves to make, but I still stand firm. And obviously I was right. I was proven right already. So I still stand firm that I think there still needs to be a little bit more, right? Again, the Rams are a perfect example. They went out and got Von Miller and OBJ, and I think someone else too. Like those things matter. They needed both those guys, right? They needed both those things to get over the hump and win the Super Bowl. And I just think that this season more than ever is there for the taking. It's there for the taking. You can see that the Ravens could be beat, right? We saw the Bengals almost beat them. We saw the Raiders beat them. The Chiefs beat them. The Chiefs, I know they're winning and they're 5-0, but like they are nowhere near as scary as they have been in years past. I mean, that's just, indisputable, undeniable. Right? The Minnesota Vikings, yeah, they are hot right now. Make no mistake about it. And I've been praising them, but like, there is that question technically, right? Like, will they be able to maintain it? What will they look like in the playoffs, right? Like, there are technically those questions because they haven't done it in the past. It just is the reality, right? Like, so it is there for the taking if you just be aggressive and you go all in. Some serious, like you can really put yourself seriously above some of these other contenders, or at the very least, put yourself in the best possible position to win, because it's all about what will this team look like come time playoffs. You're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And the score is, 23-20. What can you do? Who do you need to add right now that will put you in the position to march down that field and score a touchdown, not a field goal that then gives Kansas City Chiefs the ball back with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left and 3 timeouts, right? What can you do to say, we are marching down this field, we scored a touchdown, and now we got the defense to make it 4th and long versus you, and we're going to get the ball back, and now we get to just run the clock out, right? You burn your timeouts because we have the ball, right? Like, that's what you need to figure out. What do you need to do to be able to be in that position? Because you haven't been in that position for quite some time now. What do you need to do to get there? That's what I'm still waiting to see what the Buffalo Bills can do. Adding Amari Cooper, again, is a great step in that direction, and is definitely one of the things that I was obviously calling for, and I'm just curious to see how it continues to unfold. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills adding Amari Cooper? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.